Hello everyone, my name is Robert Garcia and this is my project Reality TV and Racism. In this project I will be taking a look at reality television in the postmodern era through representation and critical race theory. So let's get started.
It all started with a small group of immigrants.
Broadcaster failed to deal with the racism direct.
So right here, this is Officer Carr.
This season on The Bachelor.
Curb.
Alright, let's slow down. The reason why I am showing you all of these clips is because throughout this project I want to examine the ideas of representation that are conveyed in reality television. Now this is going to be a three-step process. So to begin this conversation, I'm going to try and give a simple definition for what postmodernism is, so we know why we're talking about it. Next, I'll be discussing what we mean when we say reality television and what that name implies, as well as why it is important to know postmodernism with regards to this type of programming. Lastly, I want to take a look at how reality television reflects and creates racist stereotypes in our society. So let's get started with postmodernism.
Tonight's movie premiere will be presented without intermission.
This video is an art piece by the musician Captain Murphy, which to me epitomizes postmodernism. Postmodern thought centers on questioning the building blocks of our society, which are called meta-narratives. But what is most important about postmodernism with regards to the topics I will be discussing is the idea of hybridization of culture, where new ideas are created through exposure to other cultures and their norms and value systems. The primary means of this exposure is through television and online media. The point is, the massive amount of information we receive through media helps to create our worldview, and therefore the images we see on TV influence our beliefs in a way that no other generation has been. So why are we even talking about this? Well, take a look at the next video. This is the Loud family. During the 1970s, the Loud family applied to be a part of an exciting new endeavor in the television industry, where they agreed to allow producer Craig Gilbert along with many cameramen into their home to film their everyday lives. The film was eventually compiled and aired on television as The American Family, which is considered to be the first reality television show. The crux of the program was when mother and wife Pat Loud asked Bill Loud for a divorce. Although initially seen as a sort of postmodern critique of the American familial structure, it was soon revealed that producer Craig Gilbert had manipulated the family members by telling their secrets to one another. Now, what I want everyone to take away from this is that reality television has always been exaggerated for ratings, since its conception, but it can reveal some truth. To quote Stuart Hall, "Knowledge has the power to make itself true." The connotations of the word reality imply truth, and therefore our first inclination is to assume reality television as truth when really it has been subject to manipulation by its producers.
But first, Channel 4 got a big telling off for Big Brother today. The media regulator said the broadcaster failed to deal with the racism directed at the Bollywood star Shilpa Shetty. Channel 4 will have to make 3 on-air apologies. Ofcom revealed the existence of more racist clips that weren't shown. Clips Channel 4 had originally said did not exist. Nina Nanar reports.
It caused a storm of protest, but at the time Channel 4 insisted this was not out-and-out racism.
I went, oh, this chicken is fine. And like, on his plate, he started eating his chicken off of his plate. That grates me.
Is that, do they do that in India, eat with the hands? I think she our phone.
I said last night she'll pop them or something.
tens of thousands of viewers thought differently, that calling the Bollywood actress Shilpa Shetty Shilpa Papadum, saying she should go back home, was indeed offensive. Today, the Channel 4 boss admitted they were right. Shilpa Shetty had been the victim of racism.
Okay, so I like to think we can all agree that what we just saw was an instance of racism. So to give you some context, Big Brother is one of the UK's most popular television shows, where contestants have their lives filmed in a house 24/7 without contact from the outside world. The remarks made against Indian actress Shilpa Shetty are important to note because they demonstrate how racism still exists in society and how it is portrayed in reality television. What is interesting about this case is that even though reality television is supposed to reflect the ideas of the general public and the lives of the general public found the remarks appalling. So what we end up having is this work that is rooted in postmodernism being critiqued by its own theory. Regardless, so-called reality TV depicts racism. To continue with this train of thought, I want to take a look at an example that's a little closer to home.
This season on The Bachelor.
The first popular reality TV show of the new millennia was The Bachelor. The concept was simple. An attractive bachelor goes on a series of dates with a group of young women. Every week, the bachelor selects women that he would like to continue to see, which eventually leads him to finding his true love. Now on its 19th season, critics are analyzing the program from multiple perspectives. Professor R.E. Dabrowski writes, "While women of color appear on the show, they do not thrive. In the first season, all 4 women of color in the initial pool were eliminated by the 3rd week. In the second season, the last 2 of the 3 women of color voluntarily left during the 2nd week. The only woman of color on the 3rd season was eliminated in the 1st week. All 3 women of color on the 4th season were eliminated by the 6th week. On the 5th season, all 4 women of color were eliminated by the 2nd week. On the 6th season, the last of the 3 women of color in the original pool was eliminated by the 4th week." And as you can tell by this trailer for the 17th season, there are not many women of color. So what does this mean? Well, why is it that so few women of color make it to the finale of The Bachelor? Of course, there's something to be said about The Bachelor's personal preferences, but Dabrowski highlights how these particular women of color are seen as unsuitable matches for The Bachelor. The idea does harken back to the imperialist era in which people of color were seen as different and incommensurable. It's important to note all these things because this shows how people of color are painted in a negative light throughout reality television due to the manipulation of producers for the sake of ratings, which in turn reflect imperialist attitudes that are holdovers from another time that a lot of people think is not prevalent, but still has elements in popular culture.
Sit on the curb. Sit down on the curb. I'm not going to tell you again. Sit down on the curb.
And what are you doing? Don't be grabbing on me. I just asked you.
You're going to get tased if you don't sit down.
I ain't getting that to you. I'll get you, bitch.
Cops has been one of the most controversial reality TV shows since its beginning in 1989. Although the clip I just showed you was from Cops, the first time I saw it was on the comedy show The Soup, in which host Joel McHale showed it in a comedic light. What was most startling to me about this was that the image of an ethnic criminal was so trivial that it was something to be laughed at. Going back to the show Cops, critics have long discussed how the vast majority of people confronted by the police on the show are people of color. However, considering that the show consists of footage caught by cameramen who spend hours in patrol cars, we can only assume that they catch innumerable random calls responding to simple complaints in situations from a range of different types of people. What gets broadcast on TV, however, are the more action-packed stops, which usually involve relentless displays of chased, cuffed, tackled, tasered, choked, stomped, berated, humiliated, stripped, bloodied, and shot black, brown, and poor bodies, as Professor Ofelia Cuevas puts it. These images create a portrait of what I call the ethnic criminal. And this is seen in the way people of color are looked on in a negative light in reality TV, and furthermore associated with crime and delinquency, which is a clear notion and connection to Hall's ideas of representation. And we can see multiple examples of this portrayal. Here we have a still from the show Beyond Scared Straight, and you can clearly see that the participant and the criminal are both of an ethnic minority group, but so are the guards. And this representation helps to create this image that people of color are associated with crime, and therefore the idea of the ethnic criminal is further perpetuated in all of these shows. In conclusion, we are building our perceptions of the world through the information we receive in the media. Reality television is incredibly impactful to our worldview because its name implies truth, and the images of ethnic minority groups in reality television are few and far between, and when they are present, rarely is it in a positive light. Thus, reality television has the potential and oftentimes serves to perpetuate racism. My name is Robert Garcia, and again, thank you for all taking the time to listen to my project.